The Galactic Empire was known across the stars. They had conquered countless worlds, from distant moons to lush planets, bending civilizations to their will. With technology far beyond anything Earth could imagine, they moved quickly and decisively, claiming what they wanted. Now, Earth was in their sights. Their fleet, made up of sleek warships that glinted like silver in the void, arrived on the outer edge of the solar system. They were confident, almost certain of their success. For them, Earth was just another step in their ongoing expansion. It seemed like a peaceful, primitive planet. They had observed Earth for decades, monitoring the humans through satellites and advanced surveillance systems, but they had no true understanding of what humanity was capable of. On Earth, it was just another day. People were waking up, heading to work, and going about their lives. But then the news broke. It came through all major channels, flashing on screens, radios, and even mobile devices. A fleet of unknown ships has entered the solar system. The world is on high alert. The world's governments quickly came together, each nation in panic mode, trying to understand what was happening. The military was mobilized. Fighter jets scrambled, and satellites were redirected to track the alien ships. But the general public had no idea of the scale of the threat they were facing. They couldn't even imagine the power that was approaching. By the time the United Nations was able to assemble a meeting, the alien fleet was already moving toward Earth. The planet's defenses were far from ready. Earth had only limited space exploration technology, and most of it was focused on small scientific missions. But the people of Earth were resourceful. They had one thing the Galactic Empire had not counted on: an overwhelming will to survive. The alien fleet's commander, an officer named Zaira, stood aboard the largest of the warships, overseeing the operation. The Empire had come to Earth for two reasons. First, the planet's rich resources, and second, to expand their growing dominance across the galaxy. Zaira didn't expect much resistance. Earth, after all, was a backwater world with no significant technology or military power. They were no match for the Empire's might. Zaira issued the first order: send a message, demand their immediate surrender. The transmission was sent across the stars, and a cold, mechanical voice echoed over Earth's communications channels. This is the Galactic Empire. You have been selected for conquest. Surrender now, and your planet may be spared. Resist, and we will wipe your civilization from existence. This is your first and final warning. Back on Earth, the response was not what the invaders had expected. World leaders gathered in secret, trying to come up with a plan. The situation was dire, but something unexpected began to happen. While the world's governments scrambled to make sense of the alien message, Earth's scientists, engineers, and military strategists worked in overdrive. They had prepared for the possibility of extraterrestrial contact, not knowing when it would happen, but knowing they had to be ready. They weren't as unprepared as the Empire thought. An emergency council was formed in a secure bunker beneath the United States Capitol. In the room, military officers, government officials, and scientific experts gathered. Everyone had their role, but one thing united them: the desire to protect their home. They knew they couldn't rely on traditional weapons. They would need something else: creativity, teamwork, and most importantly, their humanity. As Zaira waited for a response, she expected Earth to bow to the inevitable. But what she received was a message that made her pause, a transmission that had been sent by an unknown source. The message was simple, clear, and direct. You've just made a mistake. You have one chance to leave. We are coming for you. Zaira stared at the words, her alien eyes narrowing. She was stunned. The humans had no ships that could reach her fleet. They had no weapons that could harm them. Yet they had the audacity to challenge the Empire. To say that the Empire had made a mistake was unheard of. She ordered her fleet to prepare for invasion. Let them think they have a chance, she muttered under her breath. It will be their last mistake. But what Zaira didn't realize was that the human race had something far more dangerous than advanced weaponry. They had something that no alien empire could predict: the strength to stand against any threat, no matter how powerful it seemed. And now, the humans were ready to show just how far they would go to protect their planet. The Earth trembled under the weight of the looming threat. As the alien fleet, a vast armada of metallic giants, drifted closer to the inner planets, the people of Earth could feel the tension rise. The message had been clear: surrender now or face destruction. It was the first time humanity had received such a direct and hostile challenge from the stars. Yet, instead of fear, something unusual happened. In places around the world, from bustling cities to quiet villages, people were united by a common cause. The idea of surrendering to an alien invader didn't sit well with anyone. Earth's governments, while still in shock, began to organize. Military leaders gathered in underground bunkers, scientific experts collaborated on makeshift spacecraft, and engineers worked around the clock to develop countermeasures. The world may have been divided before, but now, a single spirit of unity swept across the planet. The United Nations convened to discuss the alien ultimatum. The ambassadors of the world, each coming from different countries with their own unique priorities, realized they had no choice. They had to respond to the alien message, but how? The strength of the alien fleet was overwhelming. Their ships towering and powerful, capable of wiping out cities with ease. Humanity had no such power, but they had something the invaders hadn't counted on: their determination to survive. As the world's leaders argued, a quiet calm settled over one particular group of experts in a hidden control room. There was a young scientist, Dr. Maya Wang, who had been working on a secret project, one that could possibly tip the balance. Dr. Wang had been studying alien technologies that had been collected over the years, some from old space missions and some from intercepted signals from deep space. She had an idea, a small, barely believable idea. What if they didn't have to fight with force? What if humanity's strength lay in its mind? Meanwhile, the alien fleet continued to advance, their ships moving slowly but steadily. Zaira, the commanding officer of the invasion, watched the humans carefully. To her, they were like ants, small, weak, and easy to crush. Yet there was something peculiar about their behavior. Instead of submitting, they seemed to be preparing for something, as if they thought they had a chance. It puzzled her. Zaira ordered her fleet to halt their advance momentarily. The Empire had a rule: no planet was ever given more than one warning. If the humans refused to surrender, they would be punished swiftly. Yet there was still something about Earth that made her hesitate. She had read the data. She knew Earth had no advanced weapons. They weren't a threat, or so she thought. Back on Earth, Dr. Huang's team worked tirelessly. They needed to send a message to the invaders, a message that would not just ask for peace, but show the aliens that they had underestimated humanity. The scientists worked with military strategists and communication experts, developing a response that would be short but powerful. And so, the message was prepared. It was encoded with a mixture of human ingenuity, science, and defiance. The tone was simple, but its meaning was crystal clear. Dr. Wang, with a calm determination, sent the message into space. "You've just made a mistake. You have one chance to leave. We are coming for you." The transmission was brief, but it struck a chord with every human who heard it. Across the globe, people watched as their leaders sent this defiant message to the stars. The human race had spoken, not with fear, but with the unshakable belief that they could overcome any obstacle, no matter how impossible it seemed. On the alien flagship, Zaira's eyes narrowed as the message appeared on her communication screen. She stared at the words in disbelief. Her hands clenched around the console. How dare they respond in such a way? This wasn't supposed to happen. The humans had sent a warning. They had threatened the might of the Galactic Empire. Zaira stood motionless for a moment, calculating the best course of action. Should she ignore the message, as was typical with lesser species? Or was there something more to these humans? She decided to take a more direct approach. "Prepare for landing. Zaira commanded. "We shall make them understand the consequences of defiance." Back on Earth, the world held its breath. The message had been sent, but what would the aliens do? Would they destroy the planet? Would they annihilate humanity? No one knew. But the people of Earth were united in one thing. They would not bow down. They had shown the aliens their resolve, and now they had to prepare for whatever came next. The first seeds of resistance were planted. Humanity had no idea what was coming, but they were ready to face it head-on. The question remained, could they outwit the invaders? Could they prove that the strength of the human spirit was more powerful than anything the Empire had ever seen? The countdown to the invasion had begun, but Earth was no longer afraid. The tension in the air was thick, palpable, as the first signs of conflict loomed closer. The Galactic Empire's fleet had now entered the inner solar system, and Earth's people could see the massive ships with their gleaming hulls against the blackness of space. The invaders had not wasted time. They were coming for Earth, and the countdown to the first battle had begun. On Earth, the response was immediate. The human race had no choice but to fight. Earth's military had been preparing for this moment for years, secretly developing new technologies and strategies. Despite the overwhelming power of the alien fleet, humanity had one advantage: its ability to adapt quickly. In military command centers around the world, officers and strategists gathered. They had seen the alien message, and they knew what was at stake. The human race had faced extinction before, during wars, famines, and natural disasters. But this was something different. This wasn't just survival. It was about proving that Earth, no matter how small in the grand scheme of the galaxy, could stand against any threat. Dr. Maya Wang, the scientist who had helped craft the message that had defied the alien invaders, stood at the center of the control room in Washington, D.C. Her mind raced, but she remained calm. She had spent years studying alien technology, and now she was one of the few humans who understood it. As she looked over the data coming in from satellites and Earth's new fleet of ships, she knew that the battle ahead would be a test of humanity's resilience and innovation. The alien fleet moved with precision, as expected. Zaira, the alien commander, had given the order to deploy her ships in a formation that would allow them to strike multiple targets simultaneously. The first target was Mars, the largest human settlement beyond Earth. Zaira believed that by taking Mars, they would break humanity's spirit. If they could defeat the humans on Mars, the rest of Earth would surely follow. But what Zaira hadn't accounted for was the human spirit and their unyielding will to protect their home. The Mars colonies were not only heavily fortified, they had been prepared for just such an event. As the alien ships descended toward Mars, Earth's newly developed fleet, composed of sleek warships and fighter jets, moved to intercept. The first clash took place just beyond the Martian atmosphere. The alien ships, with their superior firepower and advanced technology, unleashed their weapons, sending blasts of energy toward the human ships. The humans, outnumbered and outgunned, fought with everything they had. It was a desperate defense, but there was something unexpected happening. Earth's ships didn't just fire back. They maneuvered in ways that the aliens couldn't anticipate. They used the Martian moons to hide and launch surprise attacks. They utilized every piece of technology at their disposal, making use of every small advantage they had. It wasn't just the weapons that made the difference. It was the humans' ability to think on their feet, to innovate in the heat of battle. Dr. Wang, watching from Earth's command center, realized something important. The aliens had underestimated the humans in every way. They thought that Earth would be an easy conquest. They had not expected the resourcefulness and determination of the human race. As the battle raged on, Earth's forces began to gain ground, pushing back the alien fleet. Zaira, watching the situation unfold from her flagship, could feel the tide turning. The humans had no right to be this capable. Her fleet was struggling against the humans' unorthodox tactics. The attack on Mars was supposed to be a quick victory, but it was turning into a costly battle. Zaira's ships were taking damage, and their morale began to falter. The humans were fighting back harder than she had ever imagined. With every passing hour, Earth's forces grew stronger. More ships launched from Earth and Mars, joining the fight. The alien fleet had been caught off guard by humanity's ability to adapt so quickly. The once confident invaders were now being pushed to their limits, unsure of how to respond. But Zaira was not one to back down easily. She ordered her fleet to press on. If they lost Mars, the Empire would lose face, and she couldn't let that happen. Her ships concentrated their firepower on the largest human ship, a new vessel designed with Earth's most advanced technology. The battle was fierce, but the humans refused to give up. At the same time, Earth's forces began to get creative. Using the Martian dust storms to cover their movements, human ships launched sudden strikes, disabling several key alien ships. It was a small victory, but it was enough to shift the balance. As the battle for Mars stretched into the night, the human fleet managed to push the alien invaders back. The alien ships, battered and damaged, began retreating. It was a shocking turn of events. The Empire, accustomed to crushing its enemies with little effort, had been forced to retreat by a species they had deemed insignificant. Dr. Huang watched the victory unfold in real time. It was the first strike in humanity's war to protect their planet, and it had been a success. The aliens had seen the resolve of humanity, and they had learned a crucial lesson. Earth was not an easy target. The battle for Mars wasn't over, but humanity had proven one undeniable truth. They could fight. The victory on Mars had been a surprise, an unexpected twist in the battle that no one had seen coming. As Earth's forces stood victorious over the first wave of the Galactic Empire's invasion, a new feeling swept across the planet. Hope. Humanity had shown the invaders that they were not as weak as they had thought. The fight had only just begun, but Earth had taken its first step toward survival. Back on Earth, the news spread quickly. People from every corner of the planet celebrated the win on Mars, but they knew the battle was far from over. The Galactic Empire was not a force to be taken lightly. Zaira, the alien commander, had already regrouped, and she was determined to see the mission through. The first setback had made her angry, but she wasn't about to let a small group of humans stop her fleet. She knew the Empire's power, and she was confident that Earth would soon fall under their control. The Empire's fleet retreated to a safe distance, regrouping for a second strike. But this time, they were more cautious. They had learned something important from their encounter with humanity. Earth's people weren't easily defeated. Their military might not have matched the Empire's, but their creativity, their resilience, and their determination were forces that could not be ignored. The Empire could not afford to underestimate them again. Meanwhile, humanity was not resting on its laurels. The leaders of Earth's defense forces knew that they had only a small window of time before the aliens would strike again. This time, they would not wait for the Empire to come to them. Earth would go on the offensive. Dr. Maya Wang, still at the heart of Earth's command operations, stood with a group of military strategists in a secure underground facility. They had been working around the clock to develop new technologies and tactics to push back the invaders. The war was a battle of wits as much as it was a battle of strength. The aliens might have superior weapons, but the humans had ingenuity on their side. The scientists had worked on a new form of energy shield, something that could protect Earth's ships from the alien weapons. They had also developed a new type of missile, one that could bypass the Empire's advanced defense systems. But it wasn't just technology that would win this war. The people of Earth had come together in ways no one had expected. Old political divisions no longer mattered. What mattered now was survival. It was humanity's unity that would be their greatest weapon. As Earth's forces prepared for their counterattack, the mood on the planet shifted. Instead of fear, there was determination. There was no more talk of surrender. The message that had been sent to the aliens: "You've made a mistake. You have one chance to leave. We are coming for you," was not just words. It was a declaration, a promise. Humanity would fight for their planet, for their families, for their future. The first wave of Earth's counterattack began. A fleet of human ships, now reinforced with the new energy shields and advanced weapons, launched from Earth's orbit. They moved quickly, like a swarm of bees, coordinated and focused. The aliens were not expecting such a swift move. They had thought the humans would wait for them to strike again. But instead, the humans had taken the fight directly to them. Zaira watched from her flagship as the human ships approached. She had expected to regroup for a final strike, but now the humans were attacking. They were not acting like a defeated species. They were fighting back with everything they had, and it was unlike anything she had seen before. For the first time, Zaira's confidence began to waver. The humans were relentless. They moved with precision and purpose, striking at key points in the alien fleet. Their ships, small and nimble compared to the Empire's colossal warships, darted between the larger ships, launching devastating missile strikes and then retreating before the aliens could counterattack. The battle for the outer solar system began to rage. Earth's ships fought with a new sense of purpose. They were no longer defending. They were attacking. They had taken the fight to the Empire, and they were showing no signs of backing down. The aliens fought back fiercely, but for every blow they struck, the humans struck harder. Zaira ordered her fleet to retaliate, but Earth's forces had the upper hand. The new energy shields absorbed the worst of the alien attacks, and the human missiles found their marks with deadly accuracy. On Earth, the people watched as the battle unfolded in real time. They had seen the news of Mars, but now they saw the fight in space. Their ships, their people, out there, fighting for the planet. The entire world was watching. And they weren't just watching. They were united. From every nation, from every background, humans cheered for the victory of their forces in space. It was the spirit of humanity on display for the whole universe to see. Zaira's fleet began to lose ground. The Empire's ships were damaged, and their morale began to falter. The humans had turned the tide of the war. The Galactic Empire, once so confident in their superiority, was now faced with the reality that they were not invincible. As Earth's ships continued to push the alien invaders back, Zaira issued one final order: retreat. The Empire had underestimated the humans, and now they were paying the price. The counterattack was a success. Earth had shown the Empire that they were not a planet to be conquered. Humanity's strength lay not in their weapons, but in their unity and determination. After the unexpected success of the counterattack, Earth had earned a moment of peace, but it was a fleeting one. The victory over the first wave of the Galactic Empire's fleet had made waves across the planet, filling people with hope and pride. Humanity had defied the odds, pushing back an alien force that had once seemed unstoppable. But as the days passed, the reality began to settle in. This war was far from over. In the aftermath of the battle, Earth's leaders and military strategists gathered to discuss their next move. They had won a significant victory, but the Empire was not likely to back down. Zaira, the alien commander, had already regrouped her forces and was preparing for a second, more powerful strike. The first battle had taught her valuable lessons, and she was determined to crush humanity's growing resistance once and for all. On Earth, Dr. Maya Wong stood in a large conference room, looking over data from the recent battle. She was no stranger to the weight of responsibility, but the pressure now was unlike anything she had ever faced. She had helped design the technology that had turned the tide in the last battle, but she knew that Earth's defenses would need to improve even further if they were to stand a chance against the Empire's next move. The scientists and engineers in the room had already begun working on new weapons and technologies. The energy shields that had helped protect Earth's ships were being upgraded, and new forms of missile guidance systems were being developed. But Dr. Wong was more concerned with the psychological aspect of the war. The humans had won once, but they would need to keep their spirits high for the long road ahead. "I know we've made progress," Dr. Wong said, addressing the room, "but we can't afford to relax. The Empire will come back stronger, and we have to be ready for that." The room fell silent as everyone nodded in agreement. They had seen the alien ships retreat, but no one believed that victory had been won just yet. Zyra would return with more firepower, and Earth had to be prepared to face it. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the Empire was making its preparations. Zyra, still furious about her first defeat, stood in the command center of her flagship, staring out at the vastness of space. Her fleet had retreated to a distant part of the galaxy to regroup, but now it was time for the next phase of the invasion. "We underestimated them," Zyra muttered, her voice low. "We will not make that mistake again." The Empire had many ships, far more than Earth could ever hope to match. Zyra's new strategy was simple: overwhelm humanity with sheer numbers. She had a fleet large enough to wipe out entire planets, and Earth would be no different. This time, she would make sure there was no escape. The humans had tasted victory, but they would soon feel the true force of the Empire. Back on Earth, the tension was mounting. The brief lull had allowed the people to catch their breath, but they all knew it wouldn't last long. The Galactic Empire was out there, planning, waiting. Earth's leaders had already begun making preparations for the next battle. More ships were being built, more weapons developed, and more plans were put into place. But there was still uncertainty in the air. The Empire's next attack could come at any time, and no one knew when or where it would land. Dr. Huang sat at her desk, staring at a screen filled with unread data. The information was critical, but her mind was elsewhere. She couldn't help but wonder if humanity was truly ready for what was to come. They had fought bravely, but could they do it again? Could they keep up the fight? Her thoughts were interrupted by a sudden message flashing across her screen. It was a communication from the outer reaches of the solar system. Earth's deep space monitoring systems had detected a new threat. A massive fleet of alien ships, larger than anything humanity had ever seen, was moving toward the planet. Dr. Huang's heart skipped a beat. The time had come. She quickly contacted Earth's military leadership. The Empire was coming again. This time, there would be no holding back. The battle for Earth's survival was about to escalate. As the military forces scrambled to prepare for the impending invasion, people across the world began to feel the weight of what was coming. The hope from the previous victory still lingered, but now there was a sense of urgency. Humanity had to unite once more to defend their home. In the skies above Earth, the fleet of human ships began to form, taking position around the planet. This was it. Earth's last line of defense was ready. But the question remained: could they stop the Empire this time? The answer was uncertain, but one thing was clear: there was no turning back now. The Galactic Empire's fleet was growing closer with every passing hour. Zyra's forces had arrived. The battle was coming, and the stakes had never been higher. As the two forces prepared for the next clash, the people of Earth knew that everything they had worked for, their unity, their courage, and their strength, would be tested to the limit. There was no more room for doubt. They had one choice: fight. The day of the final battle had arrived. Earth's skies were filled with the hum of ships as the entire planet braced for what would be the most intense conflict in human history. The Galactic Empire's fleet had reached the edge of Earth's atmosphere, and their intentions were clear. This was no longer a simple invasion. It was an all-out war for control of the planet. The last few days had been filled with preparations. Earth's military forces, stretched to their limits, had pulled together every last resource they had. The human fleet, now outfitted with the latest technology and weapons, waited in formation around Earth. The new energy shields that had proven effective in earlier battles had been enhanced, and missile systems were at the ready. But the question on everyone's mind remained: would it be enough? Dr. Maya Wang paced nervously inside the command center. Her thoughts were a whirlwind of calculations and strategies. The battle for Mars had been an incredible triumph, but this was something entirely different. Zyra, the alien commander, was not one to be underestimated. She had learned from her past mistakes, and now her fleet was bigger and more powerful than ever. Dr. Huang, a voice interrupted her thoughts. It was Lieutenant Ivan, one of the lead military officers. "The fleet is ready. We're all set for the launch." Dr. Huang nodded, though her mind was still racing. "We need to make sure we hit them hard. And we need to do it fast. If we give them the chance to regroup, we'll lose." "I know," Ivan replied, his voice firm. "We won't let them get the upper hand this time." Across the globe, people waited anxiously. The news had spread, and the world was watching. The fight for Earth had become a symbol of human strength and resilience. There were no more divisions, no more borders. Every nation, every community was united. If humanity was going to survive, it would be because they fought as one. As the alien fleet approached, the first signs of their ships appeared in the sky. They were massive, towering structures of metal and energy that seemed to blot out the stars. The Galactic Empire had come in full force, and they weren't going to stop until they had crushed humanity once and for all. Zaira stood at the helm of her flagship, gazing down at Earth from the command center. She had been through countless battles, and this was no different. She had watched the humans put up a good fight, but in the end, their resources would run dry. The Empire had superior strength and firepower. This time, Zaira was determined to finish what she had started. "All units, prepare for deployment," Zaira ordered. "We attack now. Do not hold back." The Empire's fleet surged forward, their weapons primed and ready. Earth's forces, however, had learned from their previous encounters. They didn't wait for the aliens to strike first. The human fleet moved quickly, launching a barrage of missiles and energy blasts at the incoming ships. The battle began in earnest, the silence of space shattered by the roar of weaponry. The first few moments were chaotic, as both sides exchanged fire. Earth's ships moved with incredible precision, darting between the larger alien vessels and striking at their weak points. The Empire's ships were larger, more powerful, but they were also slower and less maneuverable. The humans had learned how to use their agility to their advantage. In the midst of the battle, Dr. Huang and her team worked furiously to monitor the situation. Every missile launch, every shield activation, was calculated and analyzed. She knew that even the smallest mistake could turn the tide of battle. The human ships were outnumbered, but they had something the Empire did not: the will to fight for their survival. Back in space, the human ships continued to press their advantage. The Empire's fleet was beginning to falter under the constant pressure. The alien ships were damaged, their shields failing, and their forces scattered. But Zaira was not one to give up so easily. She could feel the battle slipping away from her, but she was determined to end it. With a sharp command, Zaira ordered a concentrated strike on Earth's capital fleet, the largest and most heavily armed of all their ships. The Empire's ships regrouped, focusing all their firepower on this single target. Earth's fleet retaliated, but the pressure was mounting. The human ships began to take damage as the alien weapons rained down on them. It was then that a new wave of ships emerged from Earth's atmosphere, a final reserve that had been kept hidden until now. These ships, designed to be faster and more agile than their predecessors, flanked the alien fleet, striking from unexpected angles. The Empire's focus on Earth's capital fleet had allowed humanity to make this surprise move, and it paid off. The aliens were now caught in a pincer. Zaira watched in disbelief as her fleet began to crumble under the unexpected assault. Her ships, once so confident and powerful, were now retreating under the overwhelming force of humanity's final push. She had underestimated them. And now it was too late. One by one, the alien ships fell, their lights fading as Earth's forces struck them down. The Empire's fleet had been shattered, and Zaira was left with no choice but to call for a retreat. As the alien fleet pulled back, Earth's forces remained in position, ready for any final attempt the Empire might make. But there was no more fighting. The Empire had been defeated. Back on Earth, people erupted into celebration. They had done it. They had defeated an enemy far stronger than they were, proving once again that humanity's strength was not just in its weapons, but in its heart. The war was over, and Earth had won. The war was over, the dust had settled, and Earth stood victorious, though at a great cost. The alien threat from the Galactic Empire had been driven back, and humanity had proven, once again, that they would not be easily conquered. The ships that once filled the skies were now scattered across space, and the debris from the battle remained as a reminder of the fierce struggle. But despite the destruction, Earth's people were alive. They had won. In the days following the battle, Earth began to heal. The celebrations that erupted across the globe were filled with relief and joy. People took to the streets, their faces full of pride as they celebrated their victory. Nations that had once been divided now stood united in their shared triumph. The human spirit had once again proven itself to be unyielding. Dr. Maya Wang stood in the command center, staring at the large holographic map of Earth and its surrounding space. The war was over, but her work was far from done. There were still questions to answer, mysteries to unravel. How had humanity, so outmatched in technology and strength, managed to hold its ground against an empire so powerful? What had made them fight so fiercely? And what would the future hold now that the threat had passed? As Dr. Huang reviewed the data from the battle, Lieutenant Ivan approached her, his face tired but smiling. "We did it, Dr. Huang. The empire is gone. The war is over." "I know," she replied softly. "But we can't stop here. We've survived, but we need to understand how we can rebuild and grow stronger. The next time something like this comes, we need to be ready." Ivan nodded, understanding the weight of her words. The victory was important, but Earth could not afford to become complacent. The universe was vast, and there were other threats out there. Humanity had proven its strength, but they couldn't forget the lessons they had learned. Meanwhile, across the globe, the leaders of Earth met to discuss what came next. The war had brought the world together, but now it was time to rebuild. The damage was extensive, and resources had been drained, but humanity had always been resilient. They would rebuild their cities, their nations, and their way of life. The war had taken much, but it had also given them something invaluable: unity. "We've won a great victory," said President Eleanor Parks, addressing the council. "But we must not forget the cost. Our future depends on how we rebuild and prepare for the challenges ahead." The council agreed. It wasn't enough to just survive the invasion. They had to make sure that Earth was stronger than ever before. The focus would be on peace, but also on security. Humanity would not be caught off guard again. As the days turned to weeks, Earth began to focus on rebuilding. Scientists and engineers worked together to restore the infrastructure that had been damaged during the conflict. New technologies, developed during the war, began to be put to use in everyday life, improving energy efficiency, transportation, and communication. The war had brought innovation, and now it was time for that innovation to shape the future. At the same time, humanity's place in the galaxy was beginning to change. With the Galactic Empire's retreat, Earth had earned a new kind of respect. There were whispers in the corridors of power across the galaxy, rumors of a species that had fought back against an empire that had thought itself invincible. Earth had become a symbol of resistance and resilience, a beacon for those who had been oppressed by the empire's rule. Dr. Huang, ever the scientist, couldn't help but think about the future. The battle was won, but what came next? What other civilizations existed out there? And how would they react to humanity's victory? She knew the answers wouldn't come easily, but Earth had proven that it was capable of more than just survival. Humanity was ready to take its place among the stars. And then, one quiet evening, Dr. Huang received a message. It was encrypted, unlike any communication she had ever received before. It wasn't from Earth. The message was from another star system, one that humanity had never encountered. The message was simple, but its meaning was clear. "We are watching. We are waiting." Dr. Huang felt a chill run down her spine. It was an invitation, or perhaps a warning. The galaxy had taken notice of Earth, And it was no longer just a place of unknowns. Humanity had made its mark. As Earth continued to rebuild and look to the future, the message lingered in the back of Dr. Huang's mind. What would the future hold for Earth now that it was on the radar of the galaxy's other inhabitants? Would the next encounter be as peaceful as this one had been, or would it bring new challenges? For now, though, Earth had earned its peace. It had stood up to an overwhelming force and survived. It had shown the universe that humanity was not a species to be underestimated. And as the stars twinkled in the distance, Earth's people looked to the sky, knowing that they were no longer just a small, isolated world. They were part of something much bigger. Humanity had endured the storm. Now it was time to embrace the future.